Today, we're diving into one of the most crucial aspects of project management, risk management. It sounds a bit intimidating, but when done right, it can save your project from a lot of headaches. So let's start with the basics. What is risk management in the context of a project?
Great question. At its core, project risk management is about identifying, assessing, and prioritizing risks. Once those risks are identified, the goal is to plan responses to minimize their impact. It's all about being proactive, rather than reactive, when unexpected challenges arise.
Yeah, I think people often underestimate how crucial this step is. How do you even start identifying risks? I know it's not always obvious at first.
Exactly. It's not just about potential problems like budget overruns or delays. It's about anything that could affect the project's success, including scope changes, resource shortages, and even stakeholder disagreements. A good starting point is a brainstorming session with your team where everyone can voice potential risks. It's key to get diverse perspectives.
So it's really a team effort. But once you've got a list of risks, what do you do with them? How do you know which ones to focus on?
That's where risk assessment comes in. You analyze each risk based on two factors: the probability of it happening and the potential impact it could have on the project. The risks with the highest probability and the most severe impact are the ones you want to prioritize and create mitigation plans for.
Makes sense. And how do you handle the ones that you can't eliminate entirely? There are always risks that you can't fully control, right?
Absolutely. In those cases, you'll often want to look at risk mitigation strategies like contingency planning. For example, if you're worried about a key team member leaving, you can have a backup plan in place. Or if there's a risk of delay due to supply chain issues, you might build buffer time into the schedule. It's about being prepared.
I've heard some people say that taking risks can actually be beneficial in some projects. Do you think there's a place for that kind of mindset in risk management?
For sure. Sometimes avoiding risks can actually limit the potential of the project. If you're too conservative, you might miss opportunities for innovation or growth. But it's about balance. You have to evaluate risks and opportunities carefully. The key is not to ignore risks, but to embrace calculated ones that align with the project's overall goals.
Right? It's that balance between caution and taking bold steps. But let's talk about something else I think a lot of people struggle with: communicating risks to stakeholders. How do you make sure everyone understands the risks without overwhelming them?
It's all about clear, concise communication. Don't just throw a laundry list of risks at them. Focus on the key ones that could actually affect the project's success. Use visuals, like charts or risk matrices, to make things clearer. And remember, it's important to highlight the actions you're taking to mitigate those risks. That reassures stakeholders that you've got things under control.
Speaking of communication, what about managing risks as the project progresses? It's not a one-time task, right?
Definitely not. Risk management is an ongoing process. As the project evolves, new risks can emerge, and old ones can change in severity. Regularly reviewing and updating the risk management plan is crucial. This is where project meetings, check-ins, and monitoring tools come into play.
So it's more like a living document that evolves with the project. What do you think is the most common mistake people make when it comes to risk management?
One big mistake is underestimating risks or assuming they won't happen. This often leads to a lack of preparation. Another issue is not involving the right people in the risk assessment process. If you're not getting input from everyone, you're missing out on a full picture of potential risks.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's easy to think everything will go smoothly, but as we all know, things rarely go as planned. Do you have a personal example of a project where risk management really made a difference?
Absolutely. I was once managing a software development project, and early on, we identified a risk involving a third-party vendor. They had a history of delays, so we built extra buffer time into our schedule. Sure enough, they missed a couple of deadlines, but we were able to stay on track because of that contingency plan. Without that foresight, we would have been scrambling to adjust.
That's a perfect example. Having a backup plan can really save the day. So for someone new to project management, what's your advice on getting started with risk management?
Start small. Don't try to overcomplicate things. Begin by identifying the obvious risks and building simple mitigation plans. As you get more comfortable, you can refine your approach and add more sophisticated tools. And always involve your team. Collaboration is key.
And if you're managing a high-stakes project, are there any advanced strategies or tools that you'd recommend?
Sure, For larger projects, you might want to look into more advanced risk assessment models like Monte Carlo simulations, which can help predict outcomes based on different risk scenarios. Also, software tools like risk management dashboards can help track and visualize risks in real time, so you're always in the know.
That's great advice. It sounds like risk management is really about being proactive and adaptable, whether you're managing a small team or a massive project.
Exactly. It's not about eliminating all risks, but about managing them in a way that gives your project the best chance of success. At the end of the day, risk management is what helps you turn uncertainty into opportunity.
Well said. And I think that wraps up our discussion on project risk management. For all the project managers out there, remember it's about being prepared and staying flexible.
Exactly. Thanks for the great conversation, and good luck managing your next project risk-free, or at least as risk-free as possible.
Take care and happy managing.